Wonderful Monday yesterday and are ready to get into it today. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're seeing here, overnight inventory. And you can see I drew a couple zones here. I'm gonna add to see what we're looking at. I kind of mark some equilibrium. So that's what these red and greens are on the ES. That's the only one I did it on, but just in case you're wondering, I just drew those this morning. Anyways, so we have a settle. Let me change back to green. We have the settle up at the high. We ended the day on a spike to the upside, right? Looking above that poor high from the previous day, spiking up. Looks like they tried to get some continuation in the overnight session. They were unable to hold, and we've since kind of liquidated back down below those singles, which will be our key today. And then we're back here, back at the point of control, back at half back of yesterday. Jamie, good morning. Peter, good morning. Cam, good evening. Adam, good morning. Pop, good morning. Tommy, good morning. Zoe, good morning. Full house this morning. I love it. Glad to have everybody in here and ready to trade the day. And so I would say, inventory earlier when I wrote the trade view, the market was about like right here. I was saying that inventory was about balanced, right? Got a lot of inventory above, a lot of inventory below the settle. Well, now it's kind of leaning towards a little bit short, maybe 60-40 here. Nothing too crazy, I don't think, but um I would say we are getting a little bit short. We do have a very wide point of control from the overnight session. That kind of increases the odds that it will get revisited. The difference here today is that we're below the spike. So today, kind of off the open, especially we've got the open here in about 22 minutes. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for buyers to show up here right off the open now. Now that we're down here, I was kind of looking earlier. I was looking for a push down initially, and we might even get a little push down early on, but I'd like to see it pop above this halfback, above that point of control from yesterday, find some buyers, and then trade up into these singles and above to that T2 level. It'll be kind of the key level to kind of recapture. If it's unable to really get going up above in that level, we'll probably look towards the bottom of yesterday's value and then to yesterday's buying tail. We were along the right tracks yesterday. We had talked about this yesterday during the session, before the market. Oh shit! What did I do? We had kind of talked about this yesterday before the market opened. We had said, the last two sessions, what it seemed like was that they got, well, this session I guess, and then yesterday did it as well, but it kind of looked like there was a buyer in here, even though we had this poor high or poor low and poor high, but we had range extension to the upside and not to the downside, right? And we kind of had the same thing yesterday where here's this A period, so it looked like short covering right off the bat. A lot of shorts got trapped down here, shorts covered. A lot of shorts got trapped in the overnight session, right? They covered again. We started to form this kind of P shape, came up to here. Looks like the buying kind of ran out. Momentum shorts started to pile in. Left a very mechanical reference, that F buying right off that A half back. Sellers weren't able to break it, showing you that these, yesterday was for the most part a battle of shorter time frame traders. That the buyers were stronger in the market, leaving that buying tail behind. Market traded up. The sellers gave it one more go. Couldn't go. Value shifted from lower to higher. All right, let me clean this up. So we have, so track value with me here for a second. So here's our first three right here. Then we shift down to here. We have 5. And then we shift up again. So value was up. It shifted down and then shifted back up. Right, and then you got that kind of release, right? This is why we track value and not price. A lot of people were kind of, shooting this thing down, trying to shoot this thing down yesterday, and were just unsuccessful. Morning, Roach. Morning, Reyes. Hey, Roach, I sent you a message on Discord. If you could hit me back on that message whenever you get a chance, that'd be great. And then we ended the day with a spike, right? Left a bit of single prints, a bunch of Brad prints here down all the way to this K low, which is where we kind of expect to see some buyers show up today. Um, but other than that, Link Outcast said, "The fuck are you talking to? Because no one is watching." We're on Zoom too, my boy. Pop, good morning. JB, good morning, and YouTube. But thanks for checking out the video, Link Outcast. Um, and yeah, so today when we get into the day, we're gonna look to see if this buyer is in the market, right? Yesterday we had watched the VWAP, and it looked like every time we got below the VWAP, that a buyer popped up, another buyer popped up, another buyer popped up, and then the market kind of rallied up to the highs. Some people just need to feel it more important at the stream they are watching. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I stream it on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and I don't even look at the like the viewers or how many viewers there are. I just worry about putting out good information, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, so like if we don't get those buyers early on, um, and the sellers are able to go to it, they're going to target this value area low. You really want to look for acceptance early on inside of yesterday's value. The market will probably be pretty choppy early on. We'll be paying attention to the breadth, right? Strong breadth finish yesterday, strong overall market internals yesterday. The tick was pretty balanced, but mostly making higher lows and higher highs throughout the entire session. So we'll see if that can continue today and keep the market, kind of rolling here. Why is my tick not working on this chart? There we go. Let's go ahead and take a little peek around the block real quick. Starting with the dollar, you can see the dollar is back on its horse, back above yesterday's range after that kind of sell off yesterday towards the end of the day. So back above yesterday's high. We'll see if it holds. There's a lot of banking news globally coming out this week. Of course, our banking news coming out in the US tomorrow with interest rates and all of that. That'll be something to pay attention to. And then also like Bank of Japan, Bank of England, Bank of Canada today, there's CPI, right? So there's a lot of news coming out kind of all over the place here that we will want to be in tune with as the session goes on. The Australian dollar pretty much just trading back inside of its range. The euro is almost back to that $1 mark. It did pop up and got to the 101, and so we'll see if it gets back below. Bitcoin back below that 20,000. We know that 20,000's been acting as a magnet. It had that big kind of sell off overnight last night. It rebounded pretty well and has since kind of just been hanging out inside its yesterday's range. Oil, after that fucking sky high rebound yesterday, is basically back at its high. The key today will be to see if it can break out of that Friday's high. So we'll go ahead and mark that level. If it can break above there, that could be good for oil and not great for a lot of other people. Bonds are trading at all-time lows. Reyes, hey, hey. And so I mean, it's just not great, and that's what a lot of people are kind of focused on. Apple looks like it's going to be opening up on a little CME gap, which basically trading back down into its single prints yesterday, repairing some structure. AMD kind of similar, trading back down towards its value from yesterday. Amazon kind of the same. Google really similar. Meta the same. Microsoft a little bit weaker than the most, but the same. Netflix even traded back a little bit after looking strong, really strong into the close yesterday. Jason, what's up, man? Um, Nvidia, pretty much the same. can see the 10-year here is gapping up today. So TNX gapping up today, and if we let's look at TNX on a kind of a wider time frame, and you can see it's at the high for the past year. Let's go a little bit farther. Look at it for the past 3 years. It's at the high for the past 3 years. So I mean, 10-year yield it's on its way right now. So that's just something we got to pay attention to. And then the VIX is trying to come up in the overnight session, but still down from that mark we're looking for, 2796. And last but not least, Tesla. Right, been the stronger of the bunch. Still looks like the stronger of the bunch so far. So it'll be interesting to see if Tesla's going to hold up, or if we'll get a little push down from Tesla today as well. But other than that, I think we are ready to get popping. Of the bunch so far. Any other questions? I know someone was asking about the funded trader accounts, and I could talk about those a little bit real quick. Let me just post these, and then we'll give them a chat. So someone posted, what was it? Farmer Rate said to talk about the trading, right? Caesar posted about the Lilu trading. It's 85% off. It's here, I'll just pull it up. This is the one he is talking about. 85% off. You can get some of these accounts. And so the way that these work, right, is you don't actually get the 100K, right? You have to pass a little test. You basically trade on a sim account, and they give you access to 25 minis or 250 micros, and you have to make a $15,000 profit target. And this gives you the opportunity, this is over leveraged like a motherfucker, like all of them are. But if you trade them smart and take your time with them, you can pass them, right? A lot of them I recommend. I mean, even this one, you have a $7,500 trailing drawdown, and this is kind of telling you shouldn't be trading more than 2 micros at a time, or 2 minis at a time, excuse me, which would be 20 micros at a time. And that's kind of just my opinion, I guess, more than anything. But they set it up like that to over leverage you. But basically, once you hit this $20,000 profit, however long it takes you, you pay the $85 a month, or actually I think this one's $675 per month. So if it takes you more than 30 days, you got to pay for it again. But it doesn't reset the account. At least on Apex it doesn't. I'm not sure about this Lilu. This one's new to me. And once you pass the test, you get funded, and then they just charge you. It's like $87 a month for the data, and you have a funded account, right? And then once you for the $300,000 account, after you get the account up $7,500, you're able to withdraw money. And if you trade, it's still a sim account, right? It's not a real money account, but they just pay you out. And then once you show consistency over a certain amount of time, they'll actually move you over to a proprietary, like a prop desk, and try to get you to trade the real money. Where at that point you'll have the opportunity to either empty all of your accounts or trade on the prop desk. If you have any more questions about like how that works and stuff, just let me know. Like I said, I accepted a position at a prop desk yesterday, or actually on Sunday, excuse me, with T3, so you can You know, if you just type in T3 prop firm on Google, it'll pull it up. So I'm actually going to be trading starting August 1st for a prop desk, an actual real prop desk. Um, but it doesn't affect, you know, I went into detail, and it doesn't affect the stream, so I'll still be able to stream and do everything. I won't have to have like specific hours or any bullshit like that, or else I would have just said no. Um, and so I'll still get to be here every day, which is the goal. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I talked to the guy, and you know, he had said that um my he said he said my trading history may not be the most lucrative trading history. Like there's a lot of other people that are making more money than me, but mine is one of the most consistent that he's seen in a while. So it was pretty cool, you know, like it you know, to get like some validation from an outside source, I guess, you know, it makes you feel good. Getting a little selling here off the open, or off, I mean, close to the open, which is kind of what we expected here. Do I have any bias to today and tomorrow FOMC direction? I don't know. I kind of think, um, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. Um, I kind of think it's all going to depend on the Fed. I kind of assume that we're going to balance, to be honest. You know, I think yesterday was just a bit of short covering. I mean, you can see the volume in the end of the day yesterday was just basically, you know, complete shit, right? And then you had everybody just closing out their trades at the end of the day, which is why all that volume's up top. But most of the volume is here. And then even if we were to combine these two profiles here, you can see like all the volume is right here. And so I am assuming that the market until tomorrow probably just looks like this, just gets a bit of balance. Um, you know, I think that there was a buyer kind of lurking lower, and I still kind of think that uh there might be a buyer here lurking lower, just kind of positioning, but I just don't know how strong that buyer is, right? Like if that buyer is going to be willing to hold, let's say Powell comes out and he says, all right, um, we are gonna raise a full point, right? And they might just be like, well, shit, you know, and because they've had a good fill, right? Because I do think that we've seen responsive buying down here at these lows. Yesterday we saw a little bit of short covering, but then more responsive buying on that retest of these lows here. Um, so they're already kind of sitting in profit, and I'm sure they're taking profit, right? And so I think it'll be easy for them to kind of cut sling load here. I do think that they cut a lot of their, well, I don't think, according to the COT report, they cut a lot of their shorts. And so that to me kind of tells me that, um, you know, they at least are considering the opportunity for the market to catch a little bit of a bounce, and they want to make sure that they're in the right position for that opportunity. So that's one thing I am kind of thinking about. Yeah, that's true, Caesar. A key point is it's in trailing drawdown, the way a trailing drawdown works, and this is why I say, like, if you're over leveraging on there, it'll just fuck you up, which is what most people do, and that's why they give you opportunity to trade 30 minis with a $7,500 drawdown. Yeah, your account's 300 grand. Great. Really, the account is $7,500, right? That's how you got to look at it. Is look at the drawdown. That's how much you can lose until the account goes to zero. That's how I look at the accounts, and that's really what the deal is, you know. So if you have 7,500, and I always say you should have at least 5,000 in your account if you're going to trade the ES. for every one lot. I mean, and you could come down a little bit. You know, you could say maybe 3,000 for every one lot. Okay. Um, that gives you what 60 points, right, per lot. Um, so you could lose 180 points total to get to that 7,500 if you have 3 slots on. Um, but you know, let's say you've got 10 slots on, and it goes up 10 points. Well, there's 5K, right? And if you don't take profit and this thing comes back down, and let's say you close it for 5 points and you get 2,500 bucks, well, your trailing drawdown is based off of what you were up and not what you closed at. So now your trailing drawdown is not 7,500 anymore. It would be what's this? It would be 5,000, right? So it's a different story. One lot is a point. No, one lot is just one contract. Let's go ahead and play some Reveille real quick. We've got about 3 minutes. All right. We're ready and motivated. So early on, we're going to assume that the market is going to open up with a negative breath, right? It's going to be based off of yesterday's close. So just be prepared for that. We'll probably see a negative breath early on. We'll probably see a negative tick early on. So we want to pay attention um, to see if any buyers show up. We should see the tick give a little bit of a pop, give a little early warning signal. Building permits failed. Yeah, thanks, Caesar. Appreciate it. I didn't see the housing numbers. I thought the housing numbers are tomorrow. Let me look. Oh yeah, building permits. Housing starts actually increased. Yeah, so it's actually an increase. Here we go, about 15 seconds. There's the bell. So let's see what we got. We pretty much open right on the or right below the half back, right on that point of control from yesterday. So let's see what happens here. Hundred lots trade on the 83 there. So back and forth across the open here shows you kind of indecision. Counts are 0 and 4. We're opening inside yesterday's value, pretty much right in the middle here. You can see the breath opens up negative, right? We expected that. The tick opens up way negative. We kind of expected that as well. Let's just look to see if there's going to be any recovery. If there's a recovery in the tick, that's where the opportunity comes to fade. And I like to see the market get above half back with some buyers. That gives us above this V pocket as well. And look for it to trade inside that these previous single prints here. I'm gonna erase this. We don't need it anymore. And if not, right, if we don't, 10 years still marching up. If we don't get any buyers early on, then the opportunity comes down to that 72, that value area low here.
Morning, Brad. Morning, everybody.
Morning, Dad. Go back up to the open, a little bit of selling off that open again. You got a little bit of short covering right here. Let's see if these sellers are going to move down. It looks like they're trying to. Yeah, the 10-year still in the sky. Apple's actually trying to look up here. Um, I mean, all the sectors are red. They're all fairly flat, but they're all red. Breadth is still red. Thick is still red. You can see it. It tried to pop up, but then got kicked back right there. So, I mean, really, there's if you're trying to get long right here, you're just kind of hoping and praying. Let the market convince you, right? Let it tell you what it needs to do. More often than not, it will eventually, and then you'll be in a decent spot to capitalize on the opportunity. You shorted the open. Yeah, just don't let it. If it pops above half back, there's going to be some short covering that pops out. So don't sit in that short forever. You're seeing the tick start to climb up here again. Look at Apple's on the tear. Breath is cooling a bit. You're just seeing info technology and financials, consumer discretionary and communications pop green. So I'm not saying that long is the key here, but definitely a two-way market. I want to see it get above half back to kind of convince me that we can take this thing up and then target those single prints above. Up here, 3904. And I think 3900 is going to kind of be the key, are going to be a key level here heading into the week. Face of crypto, good morning. You got 10 points? Good shit. You're trading the NAS, right, Jason? Go back above the open. Remember, we know a market that crosses the open more than once or a couple of times like it has today is really just indecisive. And so really what the market's trying to do here is just decide, am I going to find acceptance inside yesterday's value, or do I need to test the edges of yesterday's value to really decide what I want to do here? Okay, so the first look was below, and like we talked about yesterday, there were some buyers yesterday just buying up below the VWAP. So a week high on yesterday's point of control. A week high on yesterday's. This is just because end period runoff. I don't count that. Apple's pretty strong here, but it looks like the only one. You can see Amazon pulled off big, AMD's pulled off big opening range here. Google's pulling off big, but still looking above its open. Meta's looking the strongest. Meta's been on a pretty good move. Microsoft the weakest. We already knew that. Netflix kind of a back and forth look here. Nvidia same, looking just like AMD, and Tesla pulling off pretty big here as well. So Tesla's actually looking kind of weak today comparatively to what it has been looking like. The market wanting to retest those lows. Like I said, let the market try to convince you that it wants to go up, right? And the first sign of it convincing us would be one, that it's going to stay inside or get back above yesterday's point of control and back above yesterday's half back. If not, as it gets accepted inside yesterday's value, the target would become that value area low. Apple's looking really strong here. It's already up $1. Almost. That's pretty strong. This is kind of like one of those situations like yesterday where, we were just sitting on our hands or grabbing our fidget spinners and just kind of chilling because the market's putting in a really narrow range early on and not really giving us any information yet and nothing really to go off of. Oh, you're talking about the high from yesterday being right at the previous day's point of control. This right here. I think that's what you're talking about, Liquor. So coming back down towards the lows here, tried to get back above the open right there and wasn't able to. The IT flipped back to red. Back sitting on these lows here. They're trying to hammer it down. All right, a lot of offers coming in here. There they go. Shit again. Yep. Yeah, look at the breath. It's picked up big time now. 10-1 here. Is halfback low of day or high of day /2? Halfback is yesterday's halfway point in between the high here and the low. And then the T2 low is 2 days ago's low, which is here. And then, I mean, just if we were to zoom this thing out big time, you can see the prior day low, 53.25. They're basically right on top of each other. And then this is the current day's halfback, and this is yesterday's halfback. So they're still pounding on these lows here. Right, Jules. Yep. 5 day plus the low of day divided by 2. Yeah. Yeah, it's really starting to push down here. So they've got below that value area low, and this is a spot where, I mean, if buyers are going to respond, this would be kind of the area that they're going to need to do it here, or else that weak low. Remember, this low is weak down here. Little influx of buying, people trying to get out of the market fast right there. It looked like a little bit of short covering down here at the low, but we'll see if the selling is complete. Looks like Bitcoin sellers are getting absorbed. Yeah, Bitcoin's coming close down to yesterday's value area low, right to yesterday's point of control, actually, right here. I'm catching a little bit of a bid. But bar is at yesterday's TPOC, right? I trade on the mini, so I might be a little off. Oh yeah, the A high, you mean? Yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's right, it's pretty close, yeah. Yeah, if they can get back above that 76, which I think so, I think you might be okay. You can see the tick is still, even though the market's been pushing down, the tick is still trying to recover here. Um, it just doesn't look like any buyers are awake yet, right? Looks like a lot of short covering going on down here, but we're seeing this volume kind of mash down so far. So we got a lot of volume here, it kind of moved down to the 74, and then we're seeing a lot of it come in the 70. So if buyers do step up, that's going to be, they're going to need to get above that 74, 76 area like you're talking about. And you'll have to, we'll have to be key if these sellers are going to move down and try to backfill this 76 area, or if they just give it up at the 74 and try to ride it back up to the open. But so far, it just looks like buyers are asleep. So I use the price ladder to confirm my entries, like the DOM. I use the DOM to put my entries in, but I don't use it to I don't use it as like a confirmation tool. Really what I'm looking for here, since we're getting that tick trying to get up there, um, there's an opportunity here. If we don't see selling in the 72, 73 area, there's opportunity to get long to target. I mean, really, we want to target the open, but we'll just have to watch that 76 to see if sellers move down. So you'd be looking, I mean, you'd be looking close to where's the you looking at um like a 2.4 to 1 is what this thing is giving us here. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of tracking like an order flow chart just because I feel like it can give you a um kind of a bit of false hope sometimes. or not even a false hope, but I mean, I'm not against the order flow chart or the footprint chart. It's just a lot of people use it and don't really understand it fully, where it can be a useful tool, but you really got to study it, right? It's not going to be one of those tools that you just put on your chart and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I fucking I see the matrix. um it's something that has to be just like everything else, right? Just like the TPO. The TPO is not a tool that you're gonna fucking just put on your chart and be like, I'm the best. um or you're gonna be like, oh, this is a buy spot, this is a sell spot, right? It's just not that simple. It never is. um so it's of course it's gonna take time. And the key, as to anything in the market, is there is no concrete definitions, and that's what people are pretty much searching for. And once they start to understand that that is just not a thing in the market, they'll start to become a lot more successful. So watch to see if these sellers move down and start to offer this 77. If they start to offer the 77 and you did take a long from that 73, this might be you might have to cut it early, right? This would be a easier risk managed trade here. If they start to offer this thing kind of heavy. It doesn't look like they are yet though, but they do. VWAP's up at 89. VWAP's pretty flat, to be honest, too. So there's some spoofing in there, yeah, naturally. Yeah, it's good for key levels. Like if you use it on a bigger time frame, um, a lot of people like the 1 minute order flow chart. I just think that's too much noise. Like a 30 minute, would be basically the same as this, but just broken down bid and ask. Right, this is a 30 minute. This is the last 30 minutes of trading here. This volume profile on the right. It's just not broken down in bid and ask because I don't really track the bid and ask. I'm more tracking volume. I want to see the participation more than I care about where the trade actually occurs. So seeing a little bit of backing and filling here, a little bit of volume coming down here, but price is not moving down. So let's watch this 73 half, 72 half, excuse me. This will be the key level here. 10 and 19. I mean, look at the breadth. Breadth is still red. You're not seeing a big push from the weighted AD. Tech is really kind of just holding the market up for the most part today. You can see how strong Apple is. Remember, Apple's like 7.5% of the overall market. So it pushes down past it, back into this volume down below. Weak spot above is 70.75. Big offer down here at the low right there. See, the tick just tapped off that 1,000 level here. Apple's still looking strong. AMD looks like a bag of shit. Amazon's trying to come back up to its open. Google's struggling hard way below its open. Meta's doing okay, but had a big pull off the top. Microsoft actually trying to be strong comparatively. Netflix looks good. Nvidia's kind of still struggling. And Tesla looking weak. And the VIX is up here 27. So We're looking for VIX 2796 to break that previous day's low. Looks like it's gonna be one of those days. That's like every day. Every day is gonna be one of those days. The little kiss of the bottom right there. We got 102 lots traded on the low here. It looks like they're going after it. It's been a lot like that lately. I mean, ever since everyone got back from the Hamptons and put their yachts up for the winter time, they're pissed off. They're like, ah, fuck, back at work. Here we go. Whose money am I gonna take today? So if the volume continues down, I mean, the breath is still going. You're starting to see the weighted AD start to tick lower. Tech flipped back to red. Apple even pulling back pretty heavy here. And remember that 155 acted as a big resistance on Apple. So there's opportunity. They're going to try to repair this weak low here from yesterday. They can keep getting that volume going. On the NQ, you have a high volume node on the low of day. They're trying to defend that. If they can break it, it's on. Yeah, and that's the thing is I'm wondering, or I'm kind of just assuming that it's gonna be a very balanced. I think that we just kind of balance till tomorrow. We might break the low, but I don't know how much lower we can really get unless there's some news. Um, you know, it's it's interesting. Thanks for the clarifications. Appreciate it. If I may ask one more question, do you personally manage to make a decent living day trading? I do. Yeah. Yeah, I actually do. Um, that's what I've been doing for a while now, and it's been doing right well. I just bought a new house, just bought a new car. Um, those are just material things, but in reality, the real thing that I value is my time. So I'm not really like a person that's kind of fixated on monetary things. I did buy the car cash, if that helps you like get motivated. But the key thing for me is that I'm able to take my kids to school. I'm able to pick my kids up every day. I'm able to, play basketball. Like I'm able to do all the things that I want to do because I'm in control of my own time. It doesn't come, right away maybe. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to start trading today and I'm going to start making $1,000 every day, right? Maybe you start trading today, and you make $20 a day, right? And then 20 times 20, $20 a day times 20 trading days in a month, and that's what you hit for the month, right? And then slowly and slowly you start to increase, and you start to develop your system, and you start to become more comfortable with your trading, and you start to um you start to improve, and then the money will come, right? Like I've never been fixated on money, and most of my life I wasn't like poor, but I wasn't rich, right? And um and I've always saved money, right? Like my friend James always calls me a Jew because even now to this day, I'm just like, I'm a deal shopper. Like I have money to buy stuff, but I'm still like, no, 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 that's not a good deal. I'm not buying it. And that's probably why. Um, there, the key really is just to value your time for me, and that's kind of what this is all about, is valuing your time, and the money will come, right? The money will, it'll eventually flow in. But if you're fixated on the the finish line, right? Like you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna buy a fucking Lambo. Most more often than not, we're not gonna get a Lambo. You know, one, it's a fucking waste of money. Two, Ferraris are better than Lambos. And three, you're fixated on the finish line, but you got to remember, like, all this time in between, all these steps that you got to take in order to get to that finish line first, right? Remember, trading is a marathon, and and trading is gonna have times where you go up and you go down, right? I've had really good months and really, not so good months. I don't want to say I really haven't had any bad months, because I manage risk really well. And if I'm doing poorly, then I will just not trade, or I'll just take time off, or I'll size down big time. Um, but you're wondering if you should take a TPO class in your city in Switzerland. Looks interesting, but it's not cheap. I'm a bit anxious to invest that money. How much is it? You think we're related? Maybe. We do look similar. You're probably taller than me, though. I'm pretty fucking short. Or I probably way more. I'm what they call thick for a short guy. Yeah, how much is that class, Jules? Because I know Jim Dalton is teaching a TPO intensive. Let me pull up the internet here. Um, Jim Dalton's fall intensive. Market's just kind of chilling right here. Let's just move this over. Um, 2 grand. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Jim Dalton's class is about the same price. Um, but you could get the profile, you could get the course and the intensive for like $2,300. I don't know about the class in Switzerland or who's teaching it. If you could do some research on the instructors, that would be key, right? To see what kind of history they have. Um, and even then, honestly, like, I think there's people out there that can really teach the market, and may not be the best traders. And like I've said, no one is going to make you a good trader. No course is going to make you a good trader. Only you are going to make you a good trader, right? Even coming to the channel, even coming to my channel every single day and watching the market, and listening to me talk about the market isn't going to make you a good trader. It might help you get a grasp of the concepts of what's actually going on in the market, but then applying it is like a completely different uh different topic, basically, or different. It's like a different subject. Like, I think there's three things that you need to master in the market. You need to master trading psychology. You need to master analysis, like market analysis, and then you also need to master trading. And then you have to combine all three of those together, which is a tough concept and takes time. So I don't think, if you're thinking that taking this course that you're talking about is gonna make it so you become profitable as a trader right after you take the course, that's more or less just that's a that's a facade. Like, you're just, that's a pipe dream. You know what I mean? Like, that's just unrealistic. So B period opens up here, getting a lot of volume. Point of control shifts lower. We didn't, I mean, not much, not much range so far, right? Really tight range so far. But anyways, Jim Dalton's course is on October 5th and November 3rd, right? I've taken the intensive with Jim before, and it's great. I have both of the package, or the market profile e-course, and the Advanced Nuances course, and refer back to them quite often, as I think everyone should. A lot of people try to get away from the basics, and you know, I just it's just a bad, like I said, Kobe doesn't just fuck. I mean, R.I.P. But Kobe didn't just practice layups, you know, because he needed to, right? He knows how to make a fucking layup, but he practiced them because he's the best in the world. That or successful people teach themselves the same key principles to learn how to stick to them. Focus. Yeah, Peter Resnicek has a bunch of videos as well. He trades, well, Jim and Peter both trade options. Peter trades some futures contracts as well when the options game is not giving him what he wants to see, but um there is I mean there's a ton of free stuff. So if you're just getting into the TPO Jules, I would recommend joining the Discord and watching some of the videos that I put out on it. They're basic videos, but they can give you a nice, baseline understanding before you get into some of those more advanced classes like that. And, honestly, there's so much material out there, right? Like if you haven't read the CBOT Market Profile Guide by Peter Stoudemire, you got to pick that up. Read both of Jim Dalton's books. Um, there's a lot of free stuff out there that you can take advantage of that will help you in those courses, right? Because taking some of these courses is tough when you don't have a solid grasp on the basics. And until you have a solid grasp on the basics, I don't really recommend diving deeper. You know what I mean? Like one of the big things that I've been focused on lately is trying to identify the type of day that we're having early on before the market closes, right? Um, and that can kind of lead you, especially into that later days of trading. Watch this 74 to 77 area, guys. If it pops above that 77, you'll probably get a chance to run into the open. Thomas, the book, or I can post the link to it. CB. Here we go. Cop gadgets. Here. That should be the PDF. Um, the thing is, people don't want to read it. You know what I mean? It's a pain in the ass, and that's why I've actually debated, like, if I just get on here and just, we just go page by page and read it and answer questions together. It might be better than any course, to be honest with you. So not able to get back above that level. You've seen a little bit of offering come out around that 73 half. Yeah, no problem, Thomas. Just finished markets and profile. Yeah, mind over markets is good too. Reading is fundamental. But we're seeing some tapering here off the low, guys. Like, I mean, and then it kind of runs into this like little cliff of volume, and that poor low is kind of turning me off of this low side here. Starting to see a little bit of rebound, and if we get the weighted AD start to flip positive, there's some opportunity. So let's see if this market can get back above this 74, 75 area. We start to see some volume start to pour in up here. I'm gonna be targeting that open. We're seeing the tick get back above zero here too, so that's good news. We're seeing Apple look really strong here. AMD's, almost did a full 180. Amazon really, holding its weight here. Google trying to come back. Meta's looking still, really good. Netflix trying to, prove itself here. Nvidia's, did a 360 here, 1080. And even Tesla is trying to remind everybody that it's still alive. So, some of the tech sector is really trying to come back. If we go to let me see. Found a new tool on here yesterday. Check this out. So we can see this shows the entire, well, the top 100 of the S&P, top 100 stocks in the S&P 500. And you can kind of see right here what's kind of going on. We can scroll through this and see like the biggest one down, Ford, looks like shit, GM. So a lot of automakers, Nike was really high yesterday and it's kind of looking like shit today. PayPal. So it shows like, some of the bigger names that are down. Apple's looking green, and then, Bank of America's, or is that BA? Yeah. BA Boeing? Yeah, I think it's Boeing. And then we've got Booking, so there is some green trying to come in here, but for the most part it's struggling. So we can see that most of the upside is coming from the tech sector. Yeah, Jules, of course. And then if you're not in the Discord, let me post the link for you. Um, and we'd love to have you in the Discord if you want to join a community of like-minded people, right? That just want to get their time back. The one thing that we can't buy more of, unfortunately, is time. And if we could, I'd spend all my fucking money on time. Um, the only thing we ask is you be positive and respectful. Everyone's in a different path of their journey, and we are a different part of their journey, and we all have different trading backgrounds and different trading styles. Not everyone is a TPO utilizer or aficionado. Word of the day. Um, so just, don't be a dick. If you guys are joining us on YouTube, right, and kind of hiding in the shadows and not participating in the conversation, don't be afraid. We don't bite. I know I swear a lot, but blame my dad, my mom. They're swearers. That's where I learned it from, especially my mom. My dad's only really a swearer if he's angry. My mom's just a casual conversation swear. Might see a little bit of a pop here, guys. 100% Crypto Mojo. 100%. Everything worth it is, it's difficult. Nothing ever came easy. Right. And typically the things that do come easy are also easily lost, right? So good things that come easy also get lost easily. You got ticked? Damn. Yeah, I'm still running it here. I want to see us
I
pop it
like
up,
what
but
Jim Dalton, Brad. I think what Jim Dalton puts it good. He's like, you can make more than doctors and lawyers doing this. Why do you expect to learn it within 2 years, and be profitable?
right. That's a great way to put it.
You got to go to school to get these kind of. That's what's kind of keeping me calm in my journey because I'm a little over a year in it and still kind of pushing along. But 2 years is nothing when you think about it in the long term.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, think about anything that you do, when you become, a mechanic, or when you become a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer, like anything like that. You go to school for this amount of time, and then, you actually you graduate, and then you get a job, and then you start doing the job, and then you start getting efficient at the job, right? So even after you've been to school and start doing the job, then you still have to, you're still on the job training, and that's like where the application comes into actually placing the trades and making the trades. Yeah, don't be
Yeah,
afraid
everybody
to
wants
ask.
things now.
What's that?
I was gonna say everybody wants everything now. They don't have patience,
Right.
I'm a little so it's like especially when you're young, you're like, I want to be, popping bottles and stuff like that. So this is the way. It takes time. Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So, and only then you get the pay raise, right? Yeah, most doctors, even most doctors, they pay all this money to go to school, and then when they first get their job after internship and residency and shit, they're still not making shit because all their money goes to those uh medical school bills. It's only after they finally get like into their own practice or like specialize that they get to you know, stack some cash and drive a Beamer. It
You'd
makes
be
them.
amazed on how many of them still live check to check. When I did physician staffing, we'd get people asking to front their paychecks because they needed it to pay what X, Y, or Z. Like that, I just paid you 20 grand last week. Doesn't matter.
Yep. A little push on the lows here. See what they've got. Yeah, it is doable to make a living. Yeah. You just gotta remind yourself that, you know, think about what you make now, right? Like, or think about the average salary. I don't know what the average salary is in Switzerland, but like, you think about the average salary here in the US, right? Is it's about oh Jesus Christ, things going wild. A lot of big buys hitting the tape here. 65 quarter 100 lot trades. But you say the average salary is like 65,000, right? Um a year. And then you divide it by, let's say, 200 days, right? 200 days, because that's how many trading days there are. 200 trading days. Um, that's $325 a day, right? And so, um, you know, it seems like a lot, um, but really, I mean, it adds up so quick, and you'll start to have days like over time where you'll hit 325 like in a couple of minutes, and you'll be done. You're not working a 40-hour work week most days, and plus the market's only open like 7 hours a day. Um, but at first, especially when you're first starting off, like, I mean, even I mean, I'm kind of just like an addict, but like I spend a lot of time looking at charts, right? I enjoy it. Um, but it does take that extra work, putting in that overtime, and then eventually it comes. But yeah, I mean, it's not all scams. A lot of the scams are the ones that are tell you like, hey, you join this and follow my trades, and you're gonna make $1 million a day, drive a Lambo by the end of this year. It's just that's where the facade is at, and that's like a thing that I always say. Like, I don't think that most people, like, there's a thing out there that says 90% of day traders fail, right? I don't think that's the case. I think 90% of day traders run out of money before they learn to actually be successful, because they overdo it at the beginning. Oh, appreciate it, Crypto Mojo. Yeah, I just like I mean I use it like in casual conversation. I feel like, I was probably destined to be English. My son said pissed last night and it was hilarious, but he like let it slip. His mom doesn't let him say it. And so he's like him and his sister had like a little tiff or whatever. And then I'm like, "What's the deal?" He's like, "I don't know, she's all pissed mad." And I'm uh, like, "Don't let your mom hear." A lot of selling trying to come in here. And the market is trying to get lower here. We're pretty much right at that spot, right? If we merge these together, we're pretty much right at that value area low where we see uh that mark come down to here. We still got about 12 minutes until C period opens up. And yeah, like Pop said, there's no dumb questions or no stupid questions, only stupid people asking questions. No, I'm just kidding. That's what they used to tell us in the army. Yeah, I never swore in front of my family. I'll definitely catch an ass whooping.
Yeah, my son's only allowed to swear on the soccer field. I let him have full reign on there,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, get it out.
which is hilarious because he starts swearing at people in English. That's his reaction, and they'll look at him crazy on the field down here. Like, what the
Oh.
hell is this little girl saying?
And
He got he caught a kid into a yellow card the other day because the kid swung at him because he couldn't figure out what he was saying.
when I was playing soccer in Korea, um, we would play against a lot of Korean teams, and a lot of them didn't speak English. But we had Korean people on our team too, so they would tell us like what's going on, and then they taught us the curse words so we could communicate back. You know, little Top Gun style. What are you doing? Communicating.
Yeah. When I was coaching college football, we recruited a quarterback and they did all their audibles in Creole down in Lakeland.
Oh
And it
shit.
confused all those white boys when they were playing them. So,
Let me take a peek at the volume real quick. The volume's actually up about 12% compared to yesterday. So that's a pretty decent increase. And we're still kind of seeing, we got a decent little rebound It looked like looked like TJ and Roach caught a couple decent longs there. We're still not seeing this weighted AD start to try to take positive. Infotech is really kind of just holding the market up right now. And if I pull over the sectors here, it gives you a little bit better picture here. We can kind of see here's tech here, so you know not really doing great, right? Pretty much just balancing. So if it gives up this low, the market's probably going to go. We can see healthcare catching a little bit off of its low, but still struggling. Same thing with consumer discretionary. Financials look like absolute shit. Communications are probably the strongest sector so far today. Industrials looking weak. Staples really just balancing lower. Even energy struggling here, and oil, down about 2.25%. Utilities looking weak, materials looking weak, and real estate looking weak as well. Even though it had some decent data this morning, but not not really efficient. We are seeing a little bit of a divergence here, especially if we kind of mash this thing out. You're seeing a little bit of a divergence that's kind of showing us that the weighted sector is not pushing down as much as the unweighted sector. And that just gives us the key, like, okay, hey, let's pay attention to the weighted sector, or the heavy sector, which is XLK technology. If technology starts to go, stop taking these rebound longs, right? So if you're scalping on these fades from the lows, nothing wrong with that. There's opportunity there for sure, as we've seen some pretty decent rebounds. But if tech starts to go red and really starts to pour lower, go ahead and abandon that, because that's going to get you into a pickle probably late in the day if if it flips. I mean, they're just holding this thing below the VWAP, it looks like, for the most part. And if they're able to get it back above the VWAP, it'll probably just go on a tear, reign of terror. Ring of fire. Watch out. Peter Reznicek says he's watching the 11,943 on the NQ, Jason, as a possible breakout level to the upside. Yeah, I mean, I don't even realize it, to be honest with you, Crypto Mojo. Like when I curse, like I'm just like I'll say the F word, and then like one of my kids will be like, "Dad," and I'm like, "What?" Like, you said the F word. I'm like, no, fuck. What do you want me to do? Something I heard yesterday also, that really kind of resonated with me. Jesus, there's a lot of text. Um, is I can't remember where I heard it. Um, but it said you can't be going around bitter all the time and expect your life to be sweet. And that really, to me, that kind of, that resonates with me, because like I feel like a lot of people just go around and they're just like mad all the time, but they're expecting their life to go well or be happy. And it's like, I'm a big believer in a product of what you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with a bunch of fucking hater ass people, then you're going to become one of those hater ass people, right? Like think about the groups of people that you see, right? You see like all these fucking jack gym dudes hanging out with each other. Well, no shit, because they hang out all the time, and you start to resemble the people that you hang around with all the time. That's why I love this community so much, is that everybody here is so positive and wants to be, in control of their own time. And so if you're dealing with these in other aspects of your life where everyone's kind of all haterish, or or negative or glass half empty type of person, then it might be time to distance yourself from that, right? And sometimes that's your family. Sometimes your family's like that, and you know, um, unfortunately, you've got to break out of that trend, right? Set a new trend. There's, and the best thing you can do is be honest. I know a lot of people have trouble being honest with their family. Um, you know, Not mine. We're pretty direct with each other. Um, yeah, I've made my sister cry multiple times by being too straight up with her. Um, but honesty is the key. And sometimes you just got to tell your family, like, hey, I'm fucking sick of your shitty ass attitude all the time, and it's fucking dragging me down. I don't want to be around it. I don't want my family to be around it, and I don't want to be around it. So unless you're gonna change, like, we're just gonna have to not see each other, right? It's easy with friends, right? If you have shitty ass friends, just get new friends, or just don't have any fucking friends, right? Come online, I'll be your friend. Like my wife's dad always told his girls, like, you don't need any friends, you got me. I tell my daughter, like, yeah, you don't need any friends. Yeah, yeah, I agree, Peter. I think 100%. If you hang out with a bunch of people that want to go drinking every day after work, well, what do you think that you're going to start doing? You know? And I'm not judging you, right? If you want to be a fucking crackhead, then be a crackhead. That's great, right? If you're happy, you're happy. So, some of these crackheads, you see them on the side of the street, they're fucking dancing, they're singing, they're happy as fuck. It looks like, right? They're covered in piss and they smell like shit, and whatever. If they're happy, pigs are happy all the time, and they smell like shit too. Um, but don't don't roll around in mud and then complain that you stink. You know what I mean? Kevin, good morning. Ooh, Kevin. Really tight range today. 62 to 82 at 20-point range. Fucking Tommy's here and just gives us the short range today, huh? There's a study of rats in the bucket where the ones that are surrounded with will pull down the ones trying to escape. People don't want to feel like a failure. Just like this, they will pull down others so they feel better about themselves. Yeah. And I can tell you firsthand, especially in the military, you see that all the time. And it's just insecurity, right? Like, you get these leaders, people will do this, right? So we'll have oh, here comes C period. Let's see the C period auction lower here. If C period gets back below this kind of weak volume, you can see it's kind of right here. They'll probably try to get down to this low. But if they're not able to get down there and we start to see this tapering continue and start to fill in, then you might catch that little breakout. This beehive's mechanical here, so um, I like Tommy. I had to work in the tight with the tight range. Um, no, just there was a while there, like, where because Tommy works, right? He works a job. He owns a business, and when he did make it to the market, it would be like a 30-point range max. And then the days that he would have to be at work, it would be like, fucking 100-point range trend day. And so I was always joking with him about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, most of the time, like, what my uncle was talking about is it's a it's the insecurity thing. And when you're in the military, so like when I was a platoon sergeant, I had like 26 soldiers, right? And there's a couple of other platoons in the company, and that's what makes up the company. And then every day we'll do a meeting with the first sergeant. So all of us platoon sergeants and the first sergeant, would give out information, and then it would be up to us to disseminate the information. And what would happen oftentimes is, you know, these platoon sergeants would want to keep that information to themselves. They wouldn't want to put it out because they want to feel that like they have the power. The information is fucking, it's not like I mean, it's just there's no point to hold on to it. You know what I mean? And then most times it would just make you look like a dumbass if you didn't tell your soldiers what needed to be happen, or what the full issue was, right? Um, and you see it all the time. Like it's just it's just mind blowing, right? And that'll happen. That'll happen with friends too. Like if friends, friends. Not everyone is selfless, right? Most people are not selfless, and so people are always trying to get one over if they have the opportunity. That's why I think, like, having too many friends is actually a mistake. I need like one, maybe two friends. What was I about to look up? Is the Premier League postponed right now? How come there's no games until October? Oh, it's international break. Yeah, boring. World Cup starts November 20th. So not for 2 months. The less people you chill with, the less problems you deal with. Yeah, that's a good one, Double R. I like that.
How you been, Brad?
I'm good. How are you?
Been good. Sorry, I missed last week. I've been traveling.
Oh, okay. Where are you at?
I'm in Mexico. Just gonna get all set up.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, it feels slow. Like the market just is real indecisive on kind of what it wants to do. And it kind of seems like a slow leak almost. You know what I mean? Like it's not really that selling is strong today, it's just that there's no buying. They need to pop that 77 to get any life, really.
Hey Brad.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, so I don't know if everyone was there on that that chat that we were doing on Friday, I had like a little meltdown and I lost every account. And I wanted to share with you guys the feeling that of the mistake that I made, because it's almost put you in that loser feeling. And I don't know why I did what I did, because I was having a great day up to that point, and then all of a sudden I had my first trade of the day, I lost $250 in my smaller accounts and $500 in my big accounts. And then I just went on tilt and just started making trades that weren't good and making trades that weren't right, just to try and get back to where I was. And it just didn't work. And then I ended up getting ahead on some accounts, but being way behind on other accounts. And then I just went into tilt mode again and just got rid of every account. I just put in too many contracts, too many trades. And it almost left me with a feeling of desolation. And I had no idea what I was doing. And I luckily had Saturday to go to my dad's house to help him clean out his garage, and had some time to think in the car on the way up there and on the car on the way back, and had some time to myself to just kind of collect myself. But then I was able to, when I got home, I talked to my son and, kind of got my head around the whole thing. And I think sometimes, like, I don't know why I do it, but some things I just go 2 feet in without looking and just go. And the hardest part of stopping is knowing that you're a loser. And I think sometimes it's not that you're a loser, but not every trade that we do is going to get us a win or get a winning trade. And I think my mentality of not wanting to ever lose took over, and it really destroyed a lot of what I had already built and spent so much time getting to the point of success, and then to have it all just go away in one day. I think everybody should put in place a plan for such a moment that you feel like you need to do what I did, so that you don't do it. And I hope that everyone can learn from my mistake on this, because it is a monumental mistake, but it is not unrepairable. I didn't lose my money, but if it was my money, I would probably be even more devastated. But the fact that I lost it is just, I had spent over 29 days in one account, 30 days in an account, trying to get them to my evals. They were evals. And I even had one funded account that I blew. And it is just the worst feeling ever, but with the time to regroup and the ability to have a group like this to say it to, and the ability to go out to, you have someone close to you, like luckily I have my son, two sons that do it, and then also two brothers who do it. And to get the feeling of, hey, you're not alone type of thing is really helpful and mendful for my soul, to not feel such a loser. It is a great group to belong to. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone, but also please learn from my mistake and put in place an eject pod, so you don't have a meltdown like I had.
I want to piggyback on Lincoln. It's very true what he's talking about, and it's something that I too can validate, that you can work for months and months and months and you lose it in a day. And for some reason, I don't know what it is. Lincoln can't tell you what it is. Brad might be able to tell us what it is, because he's a lot further on his journey. But unfortunately, I don't think this is something that you can learn from somebody else's experience, because they'll tell you they're blue in the face. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But until you put yourself in that situation, it's almost I don't want to counterpoint Lincoln, but I don't think you can really learn unless you feel that pain and you make yourself. It's like, oh, look what I just did to myself. I took all these months of time and effort and um, what's the discipline, and just threw it out the window. And it's not even a day. It's usually when I've done it, it's minutes, and it's like, fuck it.
Yeah, minutes.
I'm making this all back right now, or I'm throwing this account away. And it's like, why would you do that? So, if you can take Lincoln's advice, my advice, Brad's advice, and just collect yourself, walk away. The market's going to be there tomorrow, and if it's a Friday, it'll be there Monday or Tuesday. It's not going away, but your attitude needs to improve before you can trade effectively again. So just do your best to recognize, and it's hard. Lincoln's done it. I've done it. I'm damn sure Brad's done it. Hell, he's told us. But yeah, it's please do what you can to not have to do it.
The first step in that, I mean, if I was actually going to say what Lincoln was talking, if I could pay $1 for every time I've lost money, I'd be down. Oh wait, I am. The reality is that I think the first step in that process is learning how to stop.
Yeah.
That's the hard. I think that's the hardest thing is what, and it was funny as Lincoln was talking, and he was saying how he's trying to basically chase it. He's like, okay, I got to get back. I got to get back. I got to get back to where I was. At the point where the initial loss happens, and this is the mindset that I had, is like I would be down $100, maybe a couple $100. And the problem is I was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And then I was like, oh, I'll just do another trade and then it'll bring me back. And then I was down $300. And then I was like, oh, I'll just do another trade. And then I'm down $500. And then I'm down $1,000. And then I'm down $1,200. I mean, just to put it into perspective, there's a point where if you can't just say, F it, I'm done for the day, or whatever that break is to remove that emotional requirement of fixing it, you're going to turn into me, where I, at one point, of all the money that I had in, and this is cash. I know you guys play in and do a lot of you are doing funded accounts, but this is actually my cash. I had 30 grand in an account. I was half leveraged in, meaning I had a $15,000 trade that I was in, and I was $8,000 down. So, and mind you, that was 250 contracts. So there's a point where you're just like totally pissing into the wind and hoping and praying it comes back your direction. And you have to realize, and here's the thing, that day started out, I was 100, maybe $150 down. And I kept going, no, I can get it back. I can get it back. And I was chasing my tail. But that's the point, is that you get to the vision of, I've got to fix this. And that, honestly, from my perspective, is what heads you down that path. You're not going to fix it. You shouldn't even be trying to fix it, because fixing that is the problem from the get-go. That's the divergence that you need to stop. You're not going to fix it. You're going to start over and create a new trade. It's not about what you lost or won. It's about what you're going to do from this point forward. And everything that you do where you're like, oh, I've got to get back that money, or I've got to get this fixed or get that fixed, that's where you F up. That's how you get back on that same problem of trying to resolve a situation that is not yours to resolve, because it's your emotions. And that's the whole point of being able to step away. Anyway, and I've removed myself from that. I no longer do the trading. My bot does the trading. And I realize that's maybe not easy for all of you, but at the same time, understand who you are and know what it takes, because that stepping away is going to be the key to you being successful, in my opinion. Because if you can't, then you're going to end up chasing your tail and end up in a 250 contract trade, 50% in and halfway down. So just, anyway, learn how to do that, because that's going to save you. That's going to be what's going to fix it for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's the difficult part is, well, for me, and I don't know if anyone knows anything about me, but my personality is addictive, which means there is no way for me to be satisfied with only putting 50% of my time into something. And so I probably overdo it to the point of exhaustion without even noticing. So I'm constantly, I would have to say that in this group here, I'm probably looking at the TPO the most of anybody, probably even including Brad, because I am constantly, if I'm walking my dog, I have it on. If I'm at work, I have it on. I'm
That's
always
fair.
looking at it so that I can see it. And the difficult part is when you think you have the capability that I have, and I don't mean that in a arrogant way. I mean, I feel that I can see the TPO. There's many trades I see and I just can't get in, or I don't get in because of whatever reason, lack of confidence of jumping in. But I see what I can see in the TPO, but it's my downfall too. I I like last night I was doing a trade, and luckily I wanted to get in at a specific spot, and it came to 1/4 tick away from it, and then it went up, I don't know, probably a whole tick, and I ended up getting in the trade, and I ended up staying in the trade for a while because it took a while to develop because Globex trades are not easily done, but I had to take a little bit of heat because the number I was trying to get in at was 3823.25, I think. No, 38. I don't have it right in front of me, but it was a good trade. It ended up giving me several points because I was up quite a bit before I went to bed. But the trade didn't didn't come to me. I didn't let it come to me. I aggressively went after it, and then I didn't capture as many points as I could have because I was not being comfortable with my what I thought was a good trade as compared to, hey, I got to get into this.
Thanks for sharing, Dad. That's good. And Uncle Stacy, you too, and Pop as well. Like um it
3923. Sorry.
it really does help when you're able to share. One, because I'm a big believer in accountability, and two, it's because it can get it off of your brain, right? Because sometimes we do dwell on losses. And my dad and I talked on Sunday after he had told me about it on Friday. um and I was telling him, it happens, right? And the a key thing to remember, and something I reminded him of, is, when we take these losses, especially devastating ones like that, where we just blow up the accounts. um you know I was telling him the initial trade that he took, right? He took a $500 loss on, throughout all of his accounts, right? Or on each account. So each account was down $500. And so, he started rage trading. But when you think about it, watch this beehive. Beehive's mechanical. Break of the beehive probably take us to the open. Actually, watch that 77 level. There's been some selling there. The thing that I reminded him of is, think about how you got there, right? You didn't get there all in a day, right? So okay, you lose $500 a day, whatever, right? That shit happens. Even when you start trading the ES, you might lose $500 on a trade. You might lose $500 in 5 fucking minutes. And if you start rage trading every time you take a loss, like, you're gonna have a fucking short career. But you got to think about the process that got you to that spot. Yeah, so there's that resistance. So seller's still kind of sitting there. See if we can get him back. And so I reminded him, he has been consistent, right? Making 100. What's up, Isha? Making 100, $115, $120, sometimes more. I've seen him make $500 in a day. throughout each account, right? Some days he has really big days, and that's why I told him, I'm like, well, I don't understand. Like, you lose $500 today, whatever, you just call it a day. I've seen you make $500 in a day before. It takes one day to get it back. And the funny part is about a week before this capitulation event, sir, tell the BCT trade, buddy. Come on, relax, okay? I'm in the middle of a fucking story. Before this, the week before this, I watched him have a similar down day where he thanks for liking the video, where he had a tough go of it, and was kind of not shooken at all, right? It was just like, well, shit happens, right? And he shook it off, completely shook it off, and he was fine, good to go. And then, to kind of hear this, I'm like, well, you've got to look inside and see what changed and what happened that really changed your outlook, because you did this before, and then the next 3 days I saw you make over $300 every single day. So I'm not understanding why it happened this day. So sometimes there's other things that are going on in your life, and this is why it's so important documenting your emotions and your feelings, and routine is very important. And it's simple things like that, right? Like, if you're thrown off of your routine and you start to see it reflect in your trading as you're trading throughout the day, then just stop, right? Just call it. But remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Buildings aren't built in a day, but they're knocked down in a day, right?
That's the truth.
And so you've got to think about this. We're building buildings here, right? Yeah, the building can get knocked down in a day if you fucking light it up with dynamite, or crash a fucking plane into it. We're not going to get conspiracy theories here, but you've got to remember how you built the thing. So when you have a bad trading day, this is why I always say the fundamentals, or the basics, are so important. And this is why I'm constantly rereading that CBOT market profile guide, and fucking mind over markets, and markets and profile. Like, I cycle all of those books in between the other books that I'm reading, because I mean, they're so important. And Atomic Habits is actually another one. It's so fucking easy to read. It's so short, but I just cycle it in every time I read a couple books. Like, oh, let's fucking read this one again, And each time you read it, you're like, oh, there's another key. There's another key. There's another key. And I take notes on all of them while I'm reading them. And you find sometimes you write down the same shit, and sometimes you write down new stuff, and then you combine them all together, and you're like, oh dang, look at this. Like, here's a common factor that's my brain's picking up, and key in on that, right? Because there's a reason that your brain is picking it up.
I'm in the middle of a psychology of trading right now. And he talks about sometimes how you have two brains, and like when the other brain will take over. And I thought that happened to me as Friday as well. Like, he talks about that a lot. There was one case where he said there was a guy that would build his account and then always blow it. And it was his other brain, like his addictive brain, taking over. I think that's I've been enjoying that book so far. So if anybody's having a little bit of problem with that, it kind of helped me calm down after Friday, going, okay, the wrong brain was in charge. I'm back here, calm down. The next week will be the next week.
What's the name of that book?
I recommend The Psychology of Trading. It's on Brett Steenberger. It's on Jim Dalton's books page. I'm just kind of slow and going through all of them over the days. But it talks about that probably in the first third of the book. And I thought it was pretty helpful for me, kind of calming down after Friday.
One thing that helped
Weird
me,
about Friday, trading on Friday was not that Friday. My day was going great up until that trade. And then we were just sitting here chatting, talking about stuff and whatever, because Brad didn't go on that day. We were all in the TPO chat room, and I had that one trade, and I just like got silent, because it's like I felt like, ooh, I'm a loser. But the weird thing was is that I watched the rest of that day. that Friday, it was just a rotational day, so it wasn't really a hard day to trade. I mean, it just had some wide swings, but if you got in at the wrong spot too, obviously you would have had a bad day, because I did. But it wasn't like one of those days where it went all the way up and I kept thinking it was going to hit the top, or it went all the way down. I thought it was going to hit the bottom, kept chasing it. It just rotated. It was a weird, yeah, it was like one of those, you're right. Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like my brain took over reality and made, and took the bad trades and made them a reality.
Yeah, he puts in a good thing. There was something like when people have some issues, they actually like separate their brains. And they had one guy who his brains were so different in control. He was attacking his wife with one hand, with one side of his brain, but he was trying to hold himself back with the other side of the brain. So he was like holding his hand, trying to stop himself from punching his wife because his other brain was in control. I mean, so I don't know. It's helped me. Like the psychology stuff is my biggest issue. So I've been doing a lot of reading on that. So I think it's an Audible book too. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah. The one thing that helped me with that, like Lincoln, you know how many times I've done what you did? I don't even know how many times. I blew up live accounts. I blew them up. Revenge trading and shit like that. You get pissed off. But what I try to do, and it's easier said than done. It's all easier said than done because it's your brain. I mean, you can't control it. But well, you know what I mean. But I do try, like after if you take a loss, even one loss, even if I just take one loss, I'm not pissed. I try to say, if you could walk away or you could stop, that's great. But if you don't want to, try to say the next trade. That's it. I want to just plan this next one trade and just plan it out. Don't even care if it's a winner. I just want to plan it out and look for the next one trade, and that's it. That helped me. Now I don't know if it helps everybody, but it's the human nature to. If you're up money, if I'm up money, I'm way less aggressive. If I'm down, I'm more aggressive. I know that. You know what I mean? I have to be careful with that because it's that fuck it mentality. You know why? You don't want to lose something you have, but if you don't have it, you already lost it. You don't care as much. You know what I mean? And you get pissed off and all that other shit. But the one thing I don't agree with about trading, like with the psychology shit. First of all, I say it's 100% mental and 100% strategy. I mean, there's not one or the other. There's not one more or the other. But they talk about. I do believe you need to have I don't even want to call it a strategy. Whatever, you want to have an understanding of the market. You want to know how to trade and know what you're doing before you could ever work on mental game, because you could never work if you have a shit strategy or you don't know, your mental game will never work. It don't matter how good you could be, the greatest mind controller, but if you lose on all these trades, you suck. That's all there is to it. I think you gotta learn. You gotta have the good strategy first. But as far as that revenge, like I know what you went through Friday. I know exactly what. I mean, I've done it. I think probably all traders do it. It's just but you have to go through it. It has to happen. I can't, just like the one guy was talking about, that's the meaning of experience, going through it. I could tell you I could talk to somebody and tell them, don't do this, don't do that. Here's what this, here's what that. But if you don't experience it yourself, it doesn't mean nothing.
Right.
So I think that's partially why if it was that easy, everybody would be successful, because all you have to do is listen to your older generation. If you just listen to them, I mean, the shit that people told me when I was a kid, fuck him, he's a nut, you know what I mean? But, if you just, because you can't, I think it's physically impossible to listen to an older when you're a kid, you know what I mean? You're like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because if you listen to them, you'd be dangerous. You would know what a 70-year-old man knows, you would know at the age of 15. You'd be lethal, you know what I mean? So I think you just can't do it.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally agree. I think one of the hard things is also for me on that day, I kind of feel like this is that I'm just like everybody else, but I felt like that everybody was looking to me or looking at me as like, hey, I'm doing really well. And I was doing really well, but I felt like I had to be something that I probably wasn't at that moment. I was trying to impress or trying to show off or trying to not have a loss. And I think that makes it a little difficult, or made it a little difficult for me. And I
Yeah,
have to
I would think
realize that
that.
we're all equal, and I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not worse than anybody else. I had that feeling of the weight of the world on my shoulders, like everybody's looking at me. When you try too hard and you keep fucking it up. That's how
Yeah.
I felt.
You know what's
Yeah,
interesting? The loss of the money is secondary to the
Yeah.
loss of the emotional control,
Right.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which is kind of interesting. That like it's like your whole focus is I've got to make money. I got to make money. I mean, like you were totally focused on I got to do this. I got to make the money. But in the end, that didn't even play into how you were feeling about it. So you're chasing after this so that you'll feel better. It has nothing to do with the money.
yeah. Same thing, Brad. You would know this. If you're in the gym and you're sparring or something, or you're in the ring in the live fight, if you fight, the punches don't nothing. You're not afraid of getting hurt. You're afraid of getting embarrassed. You don't want to
Yeah.
get the shit kicked and be. That's me personally. Anyway, I was always
Exactly.
a pride guy.
Exactly.
I had my pride. I don't care about if the guy broke my nose, busted my eye out of my head. You don't care that much, but you care about who's watching. You don't want to, I have my father in the gym usually there. You don't want people to see you get the shit kicked out of you, which it's going to happen. It comes with the territory, and even trading, it comes with the territory. And I think Lincoln, you are in a tough position. I agree 100%. And Brad also. Well, anybody calling out their trades has my respect automatically, whether they're good. That takes balls to call out your trades in front of people. And honestly, maybe you're better off not doing that. You know what I mean? You might be putting unneeded pressure on yourself. If you could trade better without showing, what the hell? Why do you need to show you know what I mean? I mean, it's totally up to you.
I think for me, it wasn't the calling out the trades that put me on tilt. It was the fact that I got into a trade and I should have got out. When you go, no. And then there was a time I could have got out and I could have lost like $50 and I didn't get out. And it's like, then I sit back after I lost that trade and I sit back and I go, God damn, why didn't I get out of that trade? I know I could see it wasn't going my way. I could tell it wasn't going my way. And yet here, accept the fact that I'm not perfect and that I'm going to make bad trades just like everybody else.
What's worse is there was one time I was down, I don't know, like I'll say $800, and then it got back and it was like maybe $100 down, and then it actually got into positive territory and it was like $100 up. And I'm like, well, hell, I think this thing's still going to go back up. And I mean, I was in like, I don't know, let's say 10 contracts or 8 contracts or something like that. And then it started to go down again. And rather than selling everything off or selling at least half of them off or whatever, I just freaking wrote it down a second time. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? I mean, I'm sitting here shitting about losing $800, and then it's not losing $800. It's only losing $100, and then it's in the positive. And I could have gotten out in the positive. I mean, even just getting out even. But in my brain, I was just like, no, I got to chase this. I got to chase it.
I've done that a million times. That's like what I mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it last week or what. I said the ES usually on a shitty trade, the ES will usually give you a shot to get out, and not always, but usually. Now, how often you take it? I get screwed a lot. I don't, and for some reason, I have no idea how. I'm sure you'll agree. It'll come back to your entry and just stop. I don't know how that happens, but it happens to me a lot. And if the ES will give you that one out, if you don't take it, you usually end up paying and you're usually sorry. But I don't know.
And in reality, like we really got to convince yourself is to understand that these are normal, right?
Yeah.
These are normal things that happen to everybody, so you're never alone. Especially that, that's why we have this community here, is so we can all, be reliable on each other. Thomas, people are trading micros and minis. It's kind of a mix of what people trade here. But the key thing, is to remember, and this is why we zoom out at the end of every single day, is, look how we got here, right? You're not like, think think about when, like, something simple, right? Think about when you walk up the stairs, right? You take step by step, right? Well, now imagine you got halfway up the stairs and somebody pushes you down to the bottom. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to take the first step again and start walking up the stairs again. You're not going to fucking try to leap to the middle, right? And that's a simple task, and it's a little bit different because your emotions are a little bit different, right? But I mean, you know, like Roach is saying, like, I mean, because I used to do MMA, and I mean, those nerves will get you, and it's not the nerves of, you know,
Getting hurt.
getting beat up. It's the nerves of getting embarrassed in front of other people. You know, my one of the boxing matches I did was a Golden Gloves event, and right before we walked out, you know, they had all the fucking lights and the entrance tunnel and the fucking Bud Light girls and the smoke and big crowd and everything. And the other boxer that I was competing against didn't make weight, but I decided to fight him anyways. And he looks at me right before we go out and he says, "Hey," he's like, "see those girls?" He's like, "After I get done beating you up, I'm taking those girls out." And I mean, my fucking wife was in the stand, so to me, I'm like, whatever, you know, like, you can have them. But like, I starting to psych myself out because he outweighed me. I'm like, oh shit, you know, maybe this guy's got some power. He didn't make weight. Like, I should have just declined to fight him. I should have just fought somebody else. You know, what the fuck am I thinking? D-high is mechanical right off the open, right? And I started psyching myself out. And then the first round goes by, and I threw like fucking 4 punches, you know, and just let him. I mean, he exhausted himself. He was fucking trash anyways. I ended up beating him, but like, you know, I mean, that still happened. And I mean, I'm talking, I've trained all the fucking time, professional MMA fighters, professional boxers as coaches. Like, you know, I had good training. I was in just crazy good shape. I had a 6-pack, for God's sakes. You know, like, it's, you do all of this preparation, but then as soon as the fucking lights turn on, you're like, oh shit. And you start doing those things. And those are just mental traps. And I wasn't as mentally tough as I am now back then. But, you know, something my coach, Max Ramos, who's a professional fighter, he actually said to me, he was my cornerman at the time. He told me, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like, and he's like, just start throwing your jab. Just your jab. Just start throwing your jab. That's it. He's like, "Don't even worry about any punches in the second round." He's like, "Just worry about your jab." And so second round came out, and I just fucking started jabbing. And I started sticking this motherfucker and just jabbing. And then I hear from the corner of my ear, "All right, 1, 2. All right, 1, 2, 3." And just like, you know, Max starts calling out the combinations. And then I just start, you know, you start getting in that flow of things, right? But what did he do? He set me back to that first step. The first punch you learn when you're, well, it's not the first thing you learn when you're boxing. The first punch you learn when you're boxing is the jab. Right? It's the most important punch, right? Yeah, it's great to fucking have that nasty cross or a nice hook to knock somebody out, or a, you know, Conor McGregor uppercut, you know, if you've got the sauce. But if you can't jab, you know, that's what sets up all those punches. So if you have a trash jab, I'm going to see that cross coming from a mile away, and I'm just going to slip it. Right? Ended up putting this guy down in the third round, and ended up getting my fucking picture in the paper because it was the only knockout of the night. You know, but it was just based off of that jab, and my coach just setting me back. And so that's what the kind of shitty thing about trading is. It's an individual effort where we have to be our own performance coach, our own risk manager, our own trader, right? We've got to do all of these things that in a normal trading desk, there's people that do these things for us, right? And you know, for us here, we don't have that luxury. So you've got to do all these things for yourself. And so, you know, if it takes, you know, putting a fucking a label maker, like literally on my keyboard right now, I have a label that says $500 per day is 10K a month. And then I have another label that says tick plus. Like, it's just says tick plus, like, because I want to pay attention to, is the tick positive? I know, me personally, I always am looking to long the market for the most part. You know, for whatever reason it is, I'm always like, this fucking thing's going up. And then next to that, follow your trade plan and manage risk. Right? And then underneath of that, it says, early bird gets the worm, don't be a worm. Right? And those are the 4 things that I see constantly while I'm sitting at my desk. Right? And so, like, if you've got to do that, if you've got to print that out, right? James, my buddy James, has fucking Post-it notes right on the bottom of his screen the whole fucking time, because he knows he does the same shit. He's like, don't over leverage, don't trade against the trend, right? Don't, you know, these key things that you need to put you in the right spot in order to keep you on track throughout the day. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you've got to have a plan in order to reset your brain, or, you know, just print out a fucking picture of stairs and, you know, put them right above your desk or tape them to your fucking desk. So every time you look down at your keyboard to place a trade, boom, you see the stairs and you're like, all right, remember, one step at a time, right? One punch at a time.
Yeah, that's like I always said about, like, I like football, and Tom Brady's the best. And you get a guy like him with the 30 seconds on the clock, he's got to go 97 yards for a touchdown. He doesn't go out there and say, all right, we're going to get a touchdown. Get a first down. So we need a first down. That's it. You know what I mean? One first down, the next first down, the next first down, get in field goal range, then get a touchdown. That's kind of how you have to do it. I feel you have to think of, like, after taking a big loss, maybe a big loss day, or maybe one trade loss, you know what I mean? And just the other thing I think is really the one mental, if I had one mental advantage, I would say, if you could just forget about the money. And I know it's counterintuitive, it's maybe impossible, but if you could just trade good, just to take good trades and be a good trader, and just let the money follow along, just kind of like a diet. You're on a diet, you don't weigh yourself, you just eat well as best you can, and you know the weight's going to come off. So if you could just try to be a good trader, take good trades, and do what you're supposed to do. But I know that even me, I can't do it. I don't know. I try to do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, money's there, you know what I mean? But if you could just forget about the money. The micros helped me a lot, though, trading the micros, because it's just a lot easier. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key thing. And I was actually talking to somebody about this yesterday, is like almost that exact same thing, right? Like, if you're taking a trade and you're staring at your P&L while you're taking the trade, well, you're not worried about taking a good trade, you're worried about making money, right? And the focus is taking the good trade. So if you take a trade, let's say, and we're going to use a little imagination, let's say we get long from this let's say we get long from this 77, right? 77 we saw as a key area of resistance on the way up, and now we're above it. So let's say it comes back down to 77. We take this nice long. Okay, it rotates up to the open. We move our stop up. It back ticks us. We get taken out at the 80. So we hit a little 3-pointer here, and it comes back down to the 77. Right? We still like the trade. We still like the risk management. Right? We still like the opportunity, but we don't take the trade again. And it comes back down, hits that 77, but this time it goes all the way up to where we were expecting it to go. Right? And so what we're focused on without taking this trade the second time is the P&L, right? We're focused on, okay, well, we already made a trade that made money, and we don't want to lose it. We don't want to give it back. And so, you know, you've got to focus on every single individual trade, right? They're all going to be different. And so that's all you can do, right? You take one trade, you write down the trade, you write down the outcome, and then on the next trade, you're back at zero, right? Because if you start off, you know, and it's hard to do, right? It is, like Roach is saying, it's hard to to not focus on the P&L. I mean, for me, I just don't have them on my screen. I don't even look at the fucking P&L until after the day is over. I can see it on my paper, and I don't add them up, but I can assume where I'm at. But I don't look at the P&L until the day is over, until I'm done trading. And that's what helped me. Also, what helped me when I started switching from the micros to the minis was switching it to points, because the dollar amounts for me growing up, you know, how I grew up, not like I said, I wasn't poor, but I wasn't rich. You know, I start to see some of these trades and I'm like, oh fuck, I need to get out of here. Like, you know, because but I moved it down to points and it just made me a lot more comfortable. And so it's those kind of things that you, if you need to do it, or you, there's something that can assist you in getting to that, you know, that kind of next step, or whatever it is to get you to that spot, then there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's opportunities. It's just you've got to put them in place and then follow them. That's the hardest part, is most people don't follow them, right? You can have the best trade plan in the world, but if you don't follow it, or if you don't capitalize on the opportunity, like I'm talking about on this trade here, if you don't capitalize on the opportunity, right, you're just gonna miss out every time. And then what's gonna happen is when it does break out, you're gonna feel that FOMO, like, oh, I fucking missed that 77, I should have taken it. And you're gonna start getting long where you would have taken profit, and then it's gonna come back down, stop you out, and then continue going up, right? And I'm sure everyone has felt kind of this feeling here, where you got long just right at the wrong spot, and it came right down to your stop loss, and then it just went right up, and you're just like, motherfucker, right? It's just a matter of, you know, execution. And this is like I was saying yesterday, you've got to start carrying some of these techniques or habits into other aspects of your life, right? You've got to, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you have a plan to do XYZ, and, you know, like here's an easy thing, right? An easy thing, and this is something that I do every single day, and I picked it up from my dad. Nobody likes a dirty kitchen, right? Fucking nobody. I don't care who you are, right? And if you say you do, you've probably just never had a clean kitchen, so you don't know how nice it feels, right? And one of the worst feelings is when you wake up in the morning, you go out to the kitchen, make your coffee, or fucking, you know, slice some toast, whatever you're gonna do, and your kitchen sink is full of dirty dishes already, and you're like, fuck, here we go, the day started already, I got shit to do already. Like, you know, it starts building on, and you're pissed, and the day starts, and it's already tossing you in a bad mood, right? When in reality, after dinner's over, what does it take you, 15-20 minutes to wash all the dishes from dinner? But instead you wasted the time on fucking you know, sitting down watching Jim Cramer talk about fucking absolutely nothing. Wasted my fucking time yesterday, that son of a bitch. I thought he was gonna have some special people on, but he didn't. And, you know, or scrolling on fucking TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, wasting your fucking time on that shit when you could be, you know, putting that time to use, right? And so if you're not doing that in other aspects of your life, don't expect yourself to just start implementing those kind of things here on the trading floor, right? Because it's not going to happen. If you go to a trading floor and find these traders, you know, anybody, not even just traders, if you go find a professional, right? These professionals, and I'm not saying they all just clean their fucking dishes after dinner, but there's things that they do, and they do them, you know what I mean? Every fucking time, right? That's just how it is. And that's, you know, if you want to be successful long term, you know, that's how you're gonna have to be, right? And even the iPhone will fucking measure how much time you waste, right? It's like, hey, you spent fucking 31 hours on fucking Instagram this week. Like, fuck, 31 hours, you know? imagine what you can do with that 31 hours. You could fucking read a book, a full book with 31 hours, right? And you might just be scrolling on Instagram for 5 minutes at a time, and that shit just adds up. Right? Even for me, like I have to literally focus, because I'm while we're trading, I'm constantly checking my phone for Twitter just to make sure, right? Because we live in a news-driven environment. Look at fucking Apple just going on a tear here. Wish everybody else would realize, like, okay, it's time to go up. But you know, I have to remind myself out loud, like, stop fucking checking Twitter. You're not even on the computer. Like, the news that comes out doesn't affect you right now. Right? You'll get an update in the morning. Like, you can scroll through it in the morning. Like, you know, but I'll be like sitting on my phone. I'm just like, psh, like, oh, let me check Twitter. Fucking, I'm not doing anything right now. Let me check Twitter. And it's like, you know, you're sitting here, we're trying to watch TV with your family, whatever you're watching, right? We like to watch MasterChef right now. And I fuck pull my phone out on the commercial and just scroll through Twitter. Why? Why not enjoy the time with the commercial? Like, you know, take that time in the commercial to have a little bit of a conversation. You know, or take that time in the commercial to fucking read a book that I'm reading, instead of, you know, a couple pages here and there. You know, that'll add up. A lot of people say I can't do stuff, but then they don't realize how much time is wasted to the spot where they can achieve something. It's just they just don't. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I'm like a huge believer in, you know, I just don't believe in can'ts, right? I believe in don't want tos, right? But like, I don't let my kids say I can't do this. I'm like, no, you can do it. You just don't fucking want to do it. And so, you know, a little motivation for everybody out there that feels like they're struggling. You know, these are achievable things, and you can do them. And if you're not doing them, start keeping track of it. And then, you know, come back to fucking journaling, which I'm a huge fan of. And you don't just have to journal your trades, journal your whole fucking life. And the iPhone, like I said, it journals for you. Every time you spend on social media, or like, you could see like an app breakdown. I don't know how to get there. I just know that I've been notified from it before. Like, hey, you're on the fucking internet all goddamn day. Why don't you get a life? You know, like, yeah, everybody hates an unclean kitchen. Yeah, I mean, it's the worst to get up and go to settings and then go to screen time. It's the worst to walk out to the kitchen, and then the sink is full of dirty dishes, and you're just like, fuck, you know, like, you know, fuck, I gotta do something, and I just got up. I just want to sit here, want to fucking enjoy my coffee, and I gotta wash these fucking, you know, and then you just start raging, and then you wonder why you trade like shit that day. Well, because you had a bunch of dirty dishes in the sink, right? And it doesn't take that much time. I know it's nice to kick up on the TV, especially if the fucking Eagles are on and they're losing. I don't know if Roach is who he likes, but
I don't watch it anymore since they start kneeling, but I was whoever was playing against Pittsburgh Steelers was my favorite team because I hate the Steelers.
oh, I hate the Steelers too. So
That was the only thing I wrote. I just rooted against the Steelers, so it's probably bad for me anyway. But I might watch this season. I don't know. I loved. I mean, I was a football nut, and then they started all that bullshit, and I just said, you know what, I'm sick of these guys, their entitlement and shit. And then but yeah, I might watch. I don't know. Go back to it.
I just got back. Thank you for everyone listening to my sob story. If you guys need an email address or a Zelle account, just let me know so you can send me some money. Truly, thank you, everybody.
We'll just do it like the March of Dimes and tape a dime and send you a send you some.
No,
our
thank
spare
you. I
change.
think it's good. I think it's good for everybody to hear it, and we start bullshitting about it. It's a good thing. So thanks.
Yeah, it is good. Make sure none of us feel that we're alone, because we do this solo so much. It's nice. Not nice that you lost, but nice that we're all kind of going through the same issues at times.
So bounces off that 77 level again. Look at fucking Apple, dude. What is going on? I don't know if there's news on Apple or what. Amazon scores during Thursday Night Football. What NFL means for Prime. I'm on Apple. Why is it even showing? I don't know, but I mean, Apple's on a tear. People just remembered like Warren Buffett owns fucking all of Apple, and they're like, "Let me get a piece of that."
There was one a couple down that said they hiked the App Store prices or something like that. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Hmm.
Maybe increase revenues or something.
Apple's just a revenue machine. They just know how to make money. They are great at it.
Yeah. Bro, they make so much off the App Store. Oh my gosh.
I mean, just iPhones alone, they just make a killing. It's just crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. So the VWAP's right at the open here, the 24-hour VWAP's right here at the open. And you're just kind of seeing the market slowly try to creep up to that open and stay above it here. We're squarely inside yesterday's range still. The key thing here, though, like if we refer back to the two previous days, right, where we talked about the initial balance, and we got that range extension to the upside. And so, until we get this range extension to the upside, right, just be cautious of any of these longs. I know I was talking about the 77 still holding, and I still like it. But just be cautious. We want to get this range extension to the upside. We had to look below and a full turn basically all the way to the high, but no extension above is just kind of telling us that at these higher prices, we saw buyers here, right? Friday, yesterday, and today, right? At least, responsively, and no continuation here yet. And if we look at yesterday's profile and kind of move it out here, you kind of saw it took a little bit, right, yesterday for these buyers to continue to step up. Right, so we got short covering initially, which is what I think this was mostly just short covering. Momentum sellers tried to pile in and just weren't able to get anything going. We had this weak reference that got cleaned up early on, and then sellers weren't able to get anything going. They tried again in J period, weren't able to get anything going, and then eventually, they had to cover up into the close. And so, we could see something similar like that again today. So, don't be stuck on holding some of these longs from this, higher above the point of control until we get that range extension to confirm. Remember, we've been waiting to get above this half back all day to hold here to start targeting those single prints from yesterday that are up here at that 3907. We have that real psychological level of 3900 going into the Fed tomorrow. The 77, Thomas, has just been on the way down. It was a resistance, right? Even, B period, A period got flushed from there. And then excuse me, B period tried to come right up to there and couldn't hold it. Shot back down. C period on its first test up couldn't take it. It came all the way back down. Really all the way, down to the low, right? It came all the way back down to the low and then came up higher. And then, now we're kind of coming right back into it on the low of E, and D period was kind of finding a little base. And we're even seeing the volume move up. We've got all this volume down here, and we're starting to see this volume. I mean, 78, 77, 78. We're not worried too much about the exactness of it. But that's just kind of the level that we've been watching. But I mean, remember, I mean, Apple's really propping up the market for the most part. The tick, right? Overall market buying, like, for the most part, has been kind of topped out. If anything, sellers have been a little bit more busy today than buyers, right? Or a little bit more aggressive today than buyers. The weighted AD is really just kind of hanging out, but hasn't been able to flip into that positive mode yet. And that's because if we take a peek over here, right, we see all of our weighted sectors. So here's tech right here. Tech actually finally broke out after just balancing. So tech finally started to come on board. We've got Apple's green, Meta's green, Netflix, Nvidia, Tesla turning green. Healthcare is still, still down quite a bit, but trying to come up, but kind of giving that rollover look. We had a little bit of a breakout in consumer discretionary, but kind of ran into some stagnation. Financials still looking like hot garbage. Communications was the strongest sector. Now tech is, but they kind of, are topping out. Industrials looks like caca. Consumer staples just, straight across balancing. Energy got smacked and then it's just kind of sitting. Utilities looks like garbage. Materials looks like, it's basically flat. And real estate is about to break the low. So we really just got basically two sectors here, communications and tech, that are trying to put in any work. And so if we start to see weakness in some of those, the bottom could easily just fall out, right? Which is why we're seeing, like, most of the unweighted sectors, this thing is coming down, and we've yet to see them really, pick up, right? We've got information technology, consumer discretionary is barely positive, and communications second in line. And we still have a fairly negative breadth, 5-1 here. But what's interesting about this negative breadth, one, it's negative because we opened lower, but two, it's been pretty negative, and for the most part, we haven't really got that move down. We had one time framing down lower. The market may have gotten a little bit too short. We can see shorts covered below that 61 here. And with, D not taking this A high, that kind of leads me to believe that, this might have just been a little relief rally. The market may have gotten a little bit too short, had to bounce up, and we'll see if we can get this continuation. We need to get convinced in order to really be on the bull, right? To really believe in the long. We need to see the market go above yesterday's half back, or at least above yesterday or today's A high. And we're getting into that slow period, and we're seeing E just balance inside D period. So, really nothing, nothing giving us any concrete information or anything that that we can truly just, like, hang our hats on, or really start to believe in.
There we go. Come on.
So really just back and forth, E period, just kind of balancing, trying to decide really, you know, got 3 TPOs here, we've got 4 TPOs up here. You know, E period, you know, let's not even use E period here. Let's just call this 3 here. We've got, you know, 3 here, 4 to here, 3 to here. And so if we kind of separate these, E period is kind of deciding, okay, do I like this price? Do I like up above? Do I want to get some continuation? Or do I not like any of this and I want to head down here and start to form value a little bit lower? But what we'd want to see here, if the market is going to continue higher, I'd like to see volume start to form up, right? So we've got 3 TPOs here, sitting at 5 here, right? 5 TPOs here. The volume's pretty light, so you're in kind of your first half pipe mode here, you know, and so it's kind of this little rocking back and forth inside here. And what would, you know, for the upside, what we need to see is we need to see some of these buyers willing to step up and buy at some of these higher prices. If not, they're going to rotate back down, and you know that causes more of a mix than anything. We're starting to see the volume come in higher, but they need to keep pushing it up. Do you ever performed arbitrage for percent gains? I know some people that do arbitrage. You've got to have a big account to do it though, as far as I know. A bigger account. I'm not an expert in it though. I've seen a couple of people or seen a couple of videos about it and know a couple of people that manage a decent amount of cash that do it, but not something that I know much about, to be honest. E period always boring us to death here.
Hey guys, I will be putting my screen up after for blowbacks, just in case anybody wants to jump in there.
Sweet, thanks.
It does kind of look like there's a buyer down here at this 73-ish level, like the V, that's a cash VWAP. Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, double R it is. Like that's why those big accounts will use it. Well, E period tried twice just now to break below that D low, and if you look at the tick, it looks like some buyers are trying to step in here. But let's see if they can get above this the 77 level, and their target would probably be the open here, or would probably see more mechanical sellers. I mean, the range is so small today that you just kind of see, not a ton of range, or not a ton of action really at all. All right, JB, we'll catch you later. Yeah, we got about 15 minutes until F period opens up. So E period tries to trade up, doesn't get anything going, and then just trades back to where all this volume is at. So we're seeing some volume step up, and for in order for buyers to kind of show, to prove to us, right? Because we got -1 here, -2 here. This is kind of a wash just because of the weight. So, it's like a -0.5. Right here would give us a -1. We're below the VWAP, but we're above the point of control. Value is kind of shifting higher here. So this would be a +2. We'll cross this one out, cross this one out. So we're still sitting, basically flat, or pretty much all eyes on the tick. And if the tick's able to get anything going, then we can go with it basically. And we definitely want to be paying attention to yesterday, right? And if we're looking at this in comparison, here's value from yesterday and value from today, right? It's definitely lower, right? Overlapping to lower. But it's still really just balance because the market's inside yesterday's range. Should take profit missed by 25 cents on your Bitcoin trade. Oh yeah, I fucking hate that shit. Yeah, that prior day point of control has been tough. That's what's really going to open up the upside, I think, is getting above this prior day's half back. But I mean, this was kind of what we expected, right? We expected some early selling. We got it, right? Didn't break the previous day's lows. That responsive buyer showed up, and now we're kind of in a chopper zone right here, where we just kind of stay patient. I do like the 77, but in order to really hold on to a long, we want to see it break above that half back. If not, it just rotates, and you just got to get out when you can. And consumer staples trying to make a go of it, trying to break out. Apple trying to break over that 157. The break above the 155 came pretty easy, right? Struggled for 45 minutes right there. Back tested it, so traded around that level for about an hour, that 155, and then once it got above it, just really started to go. So if we take a peek around, Amazon is kind of struggling here. Google, really struggling below that swing low. Meta's flipped back to red after kind of struggling around this previous day's close. Netflix still looks pretty strong, trying to get above that 247.77, which was one of our targets. If I didn't close out my calls like a little baby back bitch. Nvidia actually looks stronger than AMD, which is surprising. AMD kind of hanging out at its lows. Tesla looking pretty strong as well, and that 315 level would be the next level up on Tesla if this thing can get going. Just need to get confirmation from our friend here, the tick. Octavian, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to keep it as calm as possible and not all crazy. Trading is stressful enough as is. So, if I could just bring some calmness to the market. I'm a pretty calm person anyways. Like I have a pretty mild-mannered or mellow person, unless I get frustrated, then I can be difficult to deal with. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Right at the VWAP here. VWAP's right at the opens. This E high just kind of, getting some mechanical sellers right on the open. Let's see if we can just pop a Ruski then. Go ahead. Give it up. There we go. Get that extension. So good cleanup here. Expect some selling right here off the previous day's half back. That's normal. And that's the weekly VWAP right here too. I'm gonna help my buddy Jared switch to Sierra charts today. He wants to switch to Sierra charts. Been having trouble with Ninja and his rhythmic trading. So maybe I'll just stream it, and that way it can be saved. So if any of you guys want to eventually switch to Sierra, it'll be kind of an easy transition.
And what time are you gonna do that?
I'm not sure yet. I have to wait till he hits me up whenever he figures it.
What is it he's running into with Ninja and Rhythmic?
He says like it just lags all the data sometimes, and like sometimes the like the trades don't match up or some shit like that. I don't know. Sounds like excuses to me, but you know, he wouldn't be complaining about the problems over and over if he wasn't having them. And you know, I know that I mean, I never had any trouble on Ninja when I was on Ninja, but I was also trading a cash account when I was on Ninja, so I think it might just be a delay in data, or the way that it picks up the Rhythmic through Ninja could be the issue, to be honest. So
I heard of a lot of people having trouble with Rhythmic. I never personally used it, but I heard that.
yeah.
Where the hell's how come Jarrett's never in the room anymore? When I first came, he was here every day.
You guys were mean to him and he fucking left.
Cause of what?
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
that's it.
I said you
No,
guys
I
are,
didn't hear you.
I said you guys are fucking mean to him, so he left.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. No, he was traveling recently, so he's been
Oh.
kind of all over the place, trading less,
Oh.
because trading while you're traveling is tough. If you don't have secure internet, it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's none of my business anyway. He was here every day talking, and he was, and then he just disappeared.
I never thought about that because they don't like to use VPNs or work through VPNs, so you can't secure your own.
Right. I'm trying to get old fucking market maker James on here, but now he's back in Hawaii, so it's tough hours for him.
I posted earlier, and it seems to be holding. I was listening to a guy, and he's talking about the opening of the weekly open. He said on these Fed weeks, pay close attention to the weekly open. And so far, what's it, 38.89.5 or something? So far, we've been just traveling up a little bit, come back to it, below it a little bit, come back to it, up a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a VPOC type of deal. He said every Fed week this will happen. Why I said, let me decide to watch. Just check it out. Not that you can really trade off it, but you kind of, if it gets too far away from it, fade it, or at least not to look for too big of a move away from it.
Right. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I definitely like that.
So far, hey, spot on the last 2 days. I think I got 89.5 for the open. I think it's either 38.90 or 38.89.
This was Friday, huh? Yeah. Yeah, just right about here. Yeah, right where we're at.
Yeah, right around where we're at. It just keeps, not that it sticks right to it. I mean, it pulled away a good ways, but it just keeps coming back.
Right.
Tomorrow's probably going to be a shit day. I probably won't even trade.
Yeah, tomorrow will probably be a bunch of nothing until the Fed, and the Fed's not on until 2. That reminded me, today's Tuesday. My kid gets out of school early today.
But today has been so much better. Just saying.
Yeah, you know what? Wait till tomorrow. Let's see. We might be wishing for today.
We'll just call you the pessimistic optimist.
My father used to call me a crepe hanger. Crepe hanger. You ever hear of a crepe hanger?
Crepe hanger.
Yeah, my father used to call me a crepe hanger. It's a real word too. I looked it up when I was like 40. I looked it up. Somebody's always bitching about something.
Well, I used to have an ex, and I will say this: some people just need a villain.
do you mean you used to have an ex?
Well, I guess I have an ex,
You boot her off?
but when she was my wife, I can tell you there are some people in life that just always need a villain. Like
Yeah.
their entire life is purposeful around the idea of someone else being the reason for their current misalignment with
Yeah, yeah.
happiness.
Victim mentality.
I mean, ultimately, yes, but they look at it like a a way of
Gotta-
offloading. They're offloading the problem, so they no longer feel responsible for it. It makes it easier to live life that way. Well,
Yeah.
from their perspective.
They got to blame somebody. I'm really not negative though. I act like negative, but I'm really like in.
That's why I
Well,
called you a pessimistic optimist.
Yeah. I'll bitch and moan about shit, but I'm really not mad sometimes.
I didn't call you just a straight pessimist, dude. No harm. I hope you didn't take that offensively. I wasn't. I will say I'm a
No,
pessimistic optimist, so
no,
I
I didn't.
didn't take it that way. That's called planning for the worst but hoping for the best. That's what I would call it.
Yeah, no, I didn't take it negative. You call me any. I don't get mad at people. But
So take a peek
Not
here.
since-
The weighted ADs just flipped positive, right? This is an early sign of a market reversal, right? Not always, but a lot of times when we see this, where the weighted AD is one way for better part of the day, and then kind of flips its bias, if the pullback, and I'm sure we'll get a pullback here, at some point, maybe not during F period, but at some point we'll get a pullback. If this pullback doesn't bring us back below the zero and stay below that zero, that's kind of telling me that there's a lot of shorts that got trapped here, and there's opportunity really to go to the upside. Remember, now that we're back above that half back, that target is still these single prints, this 39.04 level. If we can get above that 3900, which is going to be kind of the psychological key here.
Brett, can you show us how to set up the weighted AD? I mean, I have the 80, but I don't know if it's weighted. My chart looks different. It's like a bar chart.
Oh,
Or a
okay.
Candlestick.
So you have the 80 SPD in here?
Yes.
So just go to the settings, and then what I do is I go to the appearance and then change it off of candles or bars. Right, so if it's on candles, it'll look like this. And if it's on, bars, it'll look like this. I just change it to the line, and then it's uptick, downtick. So that line really doesn't mean anything. And then under the settings, you just have the weighted AD code here, and then click on the settings, and then I changed the colors to red and green. I just love Christmas, but I mean, you could change it so it looks, you could change it however you want it to look. So it can look like this, right? And gives you like a little bit more defined look. I think this is how Peter has his. And
that's in the studies. There's a weighted AD in there.
the studies, or no, the weighted AD is it's a indicator from Shadow Trader. I bought this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one's purchased. So far, F period's holding these single prints here. I like the upside still. As long as we're really above that 77 level. We saw the volume come up that we needed to see come up, and we're getting this continuation here now, so been a slow grind, but most of the time upside is like that. You know what I mean? Most of the time upside longer trades are typically slow grinders of trades.
Talking about what we talked about earlier. Now I'm pissed. I'm sitting here. I was long 79 half, and now I made money. I got out, but I got out, and I'm, now I'm antsy. I'm pissed off because I got out too early, and I got out for no good reason. There was no reason to get out of that long. I
Right.
got out around 86, 85, 75.
Oh yeah.
And just to go back to what we were talking about earlier, now I want to like get back, even though it wasn't even a loser. I want to get back. I want to, you know what I mean? And it can't. I got to sit here and just stew. If I had a good reason to get out, that's different. I knew there was no good reason. The only good reason was just bank my money. I was thinking about the money. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
And that's like,
not-
yeah, I mean that's a common
Yeah.
thing. Like it's so hard to get away from that. You've got to figure out. That's why I hide my P&L.
how to
Because
control it.
because if I stare at that P&L, I would have done the same thing. I would have closed right at the fucking A high probably if I would have been watching my P&L.
And I was impatient because I longed it twice. Took profit both times, but on two of my lots, I took them at break even because when I'd get in profit, 2.5 points. Not sorry, 2.5 points. I'll take profit 2.5 points, but if it gets close to my second take profit, I'll move my stop up to break even, so I'm not giving any back. And I got ticked out both times. So then I switched and I took a short when it came back up and it bounced off because it bounced off the 200 and that the 200 minute, and that usually holds at least a time or two. And I took profit on that one, so I took 4 points on that short. But what I've noticed is the 200 and the 100, when those things start to come together, like if it passes the 50 and it makes it to the 200, it'll bounce off the 200 and it'll come down, but it's like it's pulling the others up, and so it's was in a range. And then when it finally brought the support with it and it pushed through that last time, that's when it took off. I was like, holy cow.
What made
But
you switch to short?
because it pushed through once and didn't hold, and it came back down to the 50 and it bounced off the 50 and it came back up to the 200. I was like, okay, I'm gonna short it from here. But I had a tight stop because I had a lot of confidence. I had both of the opens were right there, so if it did push through, so it was like a 1.5 point stop, I think. And it came back in my favor, and I took profit on the first lot, and then the second two it started to struggle again, so it looked like it was still ranging, and before it went back in the long direction like we were looking for, I got out with a little bit of profit on the last two, but and I knew it was higher risk because it looked like we weren't able to take that D low. A lot of support was coming up above that. But so that's why, because the second time it tested the 200, and I don't think we had made a higher high yet on D either, so because we were still inside D. I just figured we were ranging.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah, for me, I got long one at 84, one at 85 half, but then all this hesitation and rotations right here, I'm already out both lots at like I think 87 half or 88, something like that. Even though it hadn't come back and tested the weak spot, hadn't come back, it's like, I don't know. Every time it starts hesitating like this, like I'm just like, okay, let me just get out. Because I go back and forth between hold on and stick to the trade plan and the other thing, which is, okay, take profit now and then just get back in when it rotates. It's like, okay, well, when do you know when to do which one?
Yeah, so one thing I do to try to alleviate that as best as possible, is use a structured point, right? So like for me, when I got in the trade, I got filled at 78 and 76.75 over my two fills, and I had my stop at the D low, and I was targeting the half back, right? So I was looking, risking about 5 or 6 points, looking for about 10 points. Um, and really, I'm still trying to run this last two lots to get up to the fucking uh up to these single prints, but let's see what happens here. Is just move those stops up, not to break even, right? Because if I would have moved them up, I would have got back ticked like a million times. I mean, this thing just went like this pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Just use those structured stops, right? It moves up. Well, use the elo then, right? I mean, yeah, you're managing, a couple of ticks. You're like, well, I wanna make sure I break even because I'm up. Let's say you got filled. Uh, let's go. I got filled 78. This thing rotated like this. Like, I mean, it rotated a bunch. Initial stop was here. Instead of moving my stop to break even on that pop up when it didn't take the open and then it would ticked out and then took me out, I just move my stop up to here, right? Which lets me manage a little bit of risk, right? I'm getting a point of risk off. Still same target. So now I'm, going from 2 to 1 to like, 2.1 to 1. And as it goes up, so as this E broke, instead of just moving my stop up to like, right where it was at, I just moved my stop up to this D high. And I figured, okay, if E comes back inside D range, well then I'm just gonna have to be content with what I got here. I covered at 89 and 89.75 two lots, and then another one at 99.50, or 89.50, excuse me. And now I have two lots left, and my stop is sitting right here, 87.50. I moved it up above the half back because now we're starting to kind of give up that continuation. But notice, like on the rotations, especially if you guys are watching that 1 minute chart, which I after talking to TJ about it, I kind of want to look at it a little bit just to see that he sends me these trades and they're just like perfect setups, and I want to do a little bit more back testing. I just got to find some time where I can sit down and focus and look at it. But look at those rotations and notice the rotations. They were like this, like so they weren't like this, right? They were like this. Right, they were slowly going up, right? They might not have been making higher highs, but they weren't making lower lows, and we're one time framing to the upside for the most part, right? And I mean, really, we did our math here. We had kind of like canceled everything out, and we really were just looking at this tick, and so the tick was staying positive till now. It's getting back below zero here, but for the most part, the tick was staying positive, and we even had that flip on the weighted AD. So we went from being flat to +1, which lets us stay in the trade a little bit longer. And I can make a breakdown of, I mean, it's not like something I really track, like my +1, +2, +3. It's just something that I'm kind of like I'm looking at the screen. I'm like thinking, okay, up, 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 down, up. I'm like kind of looking at everything, thinking to myself, like, okay, this is kind of the route that I want to take for the rest of the day, or the route that I want to take on this trade, excuse me. Hey Brad, before you go to lunch, can you take a look at the question in the trader room on Discord? Yeah. Yeah, so you have to load a second data series. So when you open your chart, I'll show you. Let me open the trader real quick. Okay, so when you click settings or data series, right, you're seeing this ES. This is the old contract, but you should say 1222. I haven't been on InterTrader in a while. Add another one. So you should have 2 here to load that template. All right, Patrick, have a good day, man. Yeah, so you need to add a second one. So if you're only seeing the one and that's the code you're getting, is that the template you're trying to load has 2 data series saved, but you have 1 data series configured on your chart. You just have to add a second one. So you just go to it and then just click add right here and it'll, well, not out of the 3, but you just have to have 2 in there. That's it.
Is he wanting to set up one for Globex and one for cash session?
He's just trying to load one of the templates that I made and it's not
Oh,
loading.
right.
Yeah. And Poke just posted on TradingView. There's a new TPO. Take a peek at it. What we call it. Jesus Christ, all this shit in here. That if letters aren't appearing, decrease the tick setting. If letters are cluttered, increase the tick setting. Decrease tick setting. Too many. Oh, there's a TPO, another TPO here on called real-time TPO regular D custom. I have to mess around with it a little bit to really get the feel for it. But yeah, so here's another one here. Regular. I guess maybe it only just does the 1 day though. Oh. But I'll pin the message. He posted it under general chat. So if you want to take a look at it for TradingView, go ahead and check it out. But other than that, I think it is about that time, which is lunchtime. We're seeing that F period come down and try to close some of these single prints here, getting that rotation that we kind of expected here. So the key, I think, really is to watch this tick and see how it responds to these lower prices. We're seeing a lot of selling or a pretty negative tick. You know, you can see kind of the cumulative here so far. It hasn't been down much below this, and so if we get a like a fairly negative tick and no continuation, well, odds are going to favor that we pop back up. Just looking at some other things here. Also just kind of hanging out. Apple's still trying to hang out around that 157. So, but yeah, other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. I will catch you guys all tomorrow. Make sure that you are managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And you know, if you're not in the Discord, don't be afraid to type in the chat, and I'll shoot you the Discord link, and you can join the community. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys later.